leaving exchange and going back home was a bittersweet experience. Because we didn't know too much about COVID at the time, I was hoping on going back on my exchange. I am bummed out that I didn't get to go back, but every goodbye was more of a I'll see you later, so I'm kind of glad that I got to leave with a positive mindset.
It was honestly one of the saddest things I've ever experienced. When you live in a place for a full year and you kind of start to put roots down, develop a biggish network of friends and a new normal in your life, when you uproot yourself kind of from one day to the next and move back home, it's pretty traumatic almost because you're leaving so much of you behind and you've become a completely different person almost from the you that left to go on exchange before. And when you get home, it is different. You want to just tell everybody about your exchange, and they want to hear about it, but they also don't totally understand how awesome it was. So that's interesting to navigate. But I think the Go Global community at UBCO is really great about keeping people involved. Taking up an ambassador role is a really great opportunity for you to stay in touch with people that are going on exchange and kind of use your experience to pay it forward.
In Slovenia, the capital city is Ljubljana, which is where I studied. The downtown core is really historic, and it's actually closed and only accessible to pedestrians. That was really interesting. I got used to walking a lot, which was great exercise, and also really relaxing.
So I really didn't want to leave. To be honest, I didn't want to come back. I just had such an amazing time in Edinburgh, the city, with my flatmates at the university. I was just totally immersed in the whole experience and I really didn't want to come back. So it was really hard. One thing that you prepare for is a culture shock going to your destination, but you don't really prepare for the culture shock coming back from your destination. For instance, over in the UK, all taxes are all included in the prices. So if it says it costs £5, it costs £5. Straight up, that's it. So that was weird getting used to coming back, looking at the price and being like, oh yeah, it's $3.50, and then getting up to the cash register and they're like, oh, it's, I'm not going to do math, but it's this much, and you'd be like, wait, what? So even just little things like that, you wouldn't think that you have to get adjusted to coming back. And then too, I picked up a lot of the slang in the UK, so flatmates, jumpers, flats, crisps, those kind of things. And I say them here even still sometimes, and my friends always make fun of me for it.
COVID aside, it was definitely a lot more difficult than going out there, just because you're kind of in this reverse culture shock where you've been living a UK lifestyle for so long and suddenly you come back and I was back living with my family and I had to look for a job again. So it was definitely kind of like coming back from a really long vacation, but at the same time, just being so grateful for the opportunities that I had and coming back with a new wealth of knowledge about traveling, learning how to be independent completely by myself, learning how to study in a foreign country, and just learning new things that could be related to my degree just by living in the UK. So it was difficult to come home, definitely, but at the same time, it was really refreshing to be able to come back and sort of ease back into this new normal that we're living in now.
It has to be Thorsmørk. That place is just, like, unbelievable. Its location is pretty isolated. The only vehicles that can get there are ones that can, like, drive through rivers, and then the rest of it's surrounded by mountains. So instead of driving through a river to get there, me and a friend of mine decided to do this hike up this river, up a mountain, into the glacial highlands, where we stayed for a night in this little mountain hut, and then the next day we hiked down into the Valley of Thor, which is just this vibrant green cluster of valleys that's contrasted by the pitch black rock underneath the moss and like the glaciers in the distance. I think about that place so much, dude. Like, it's crazy.
One of my favorite things about Amsterdam is definitely the people. Most of them speak very good English, and they don't look down on you if you don't speak Dutch. They're also very friendly and always eager and willing to give directions. Another thing I really appreciate about Amsterdam is the mix of historical and contemporary things. Amsterdam is very much a young person's city, but they also have a ton of really cool museums. The most famous ones are the Rijksmuseum and the Van Gogh Museum, but they also have a ton of smaller, more interesting ones. For example, they have a museum about medieval torture devices. They also have one that showcases real human bodies that have been donated by people who have died, that showcase different systems of the body. So one thing that I would definitely recommend is paying a flat fee for a museum card that gives you access to every museum in the country for a year.
My university was situated on a mountain, so going for sort of evening hikes in the autumn and enjoying the view of the city from my favorite bench was like one of my most personally impactful memories, but also just being so proximally close to different cultural centers in Korea. I remember always getting up to something on the weekends, so I'll always remember those really fondly.
So my favorite thing about Edinburgh was a spot called Calton Hill. It's this little hill in the center of the city that there's a little observatory up there. There's a lot of statues, monuments. There's this cool like Roman building. I don't know what it's called, but some cool Roman building. And just the sunsets up there are amazing. I think about it all the time. Just the architecture of Edinburgh as a backdrop, and with the sun setting, it's a beautiful pink-orange array. It's stunning. So I'd go up there almost every day just to watch the sunset because it was amazing.
My favorite thing about being in Perth and going to school at UWA was the fact that it is right on the west coast of Australia. There are so many phenomenal beaches within a 10 to 20 minute train ride of almost wherever you'll be staying, and the sunsets are amazing.
I think UBC was a lot more difficult. My exchange institution had fewer assignments, more relaxed teachers, and for the exams, you could try them up to 3 times. So if you didn't like your mark, you went back for the next examination. That afforded me a lot of time to do other things I was interested in, like joining clubs, sports teams, and traveling. But it was still a unique experience because there were kids from all over the world in my classes, and I had a different perspective on politics, which is what I was studying, being in a European university.
First of all, the profs at the University of Iceland are like 10 times more slack than the ones at UBCO. That was nice. But also the engineering program has like a way bigger environmental focus. It's like the primary focus of that engineering program, which is a little bit different than UBC's.
The biggest difference for me between the two is that going to the University of Birmingham was the first time that I had ever gone to university and not lived at home, whereas at UBC I've been living at home the entire time. So it was a very different experience in terms of the fact that I was living on campus, eating on campus, pretty much living my entire life on this campus. And Birmingham's a very big campus. It's much larger than UBC's. So it definitely felt like it was its own little town within Birmingham. Another thing that I noticed is course load. The course load in Birmingham is only 3 courses instead of UBC's 5 courses. So I was coming in after having 4 years of 5 classes per semester on my plate, and getting to switch from that to only 3 classes a semester definitely was really nice for me. I was able to balance my time a lot more efficiently, and I think as a result was able to do a lot better in my classes.
And the grading scale was different, so it shifted downwards in the UK, so it's a lot harder to get an A. And an A in the UK is like a 70 to 100, I think, if I remember correctly. So over there, getting a 60 is excellent. And I'd never gotten a 60 before in my life, so I panicked the first couple times I got a 60. But then I just had to take a step back and realize that it was just different. And it was fine. It didn't, all the professors were like, yeah, if you got a 60, we're really proud of you. So that was the big difference, is just getting used to the shifted grading scale and not freaking out when I saw that I got a lower mark, because it wasn't necessarily lower. It was just how they grade it.
The main difference I found attending classes at UWA was that actual physical class attendance was not mandatory. All lectures were recorded, so if you were sick or had to be away from school for any amount of time, you could watch your lectures online later on. Now this required then that a person have a very high character and really motivation to stay on top of things, because it can be easy to like let things slide and wait till the end of the semester to catch up on your lectures. But it actually was a positive thing for me, and by and large, is I was able to go to my classes in person for the most part, but when I did need to take a day or two off to go exploring or go traveling, I was able to catch up on things no problem.